Today I'm going to be showing you 8 free roller coaster blueprint IDs for you to use in your theme parks in Theme Park Tycoon 2. The IDs will be in the description, but they will also appear as the coaster appears on screen, just so it's easy to find them. And yeah, let's begin. I do just want to say that all these rides do use game passes, but if you want me to do a game pass free sequel to this video, 20 likes and I'll do it. I'm going to start with the smallest coaster, and that is this small junior coaster. Now this coaster was in my last video. This ride only uses disable collisions and more operations. Then obviously I'm not going to POV this ride, because if you want to use it in your parks, you'll get to see that anyway. But now let's move on to this B&M Floorless coaster. To be fair, this ride is not terrible. To say it was built a few months back with pivot offset 4. I don't know what I was thinking. I used to make all my rides with pivot offset 4. I don't anymore. So I wouldn't say that this is the best ride here, but it does still stand up decently well. But I am very happy with how this 0G roll came out. This might be the only reason why I'm including it in this video. The game passes needed for this ride is disable collisions, more operations, and 1 or 2 height game passes. Next, let's move on to this B&M wing coaster. Overall, I'm quite happy with how this one turned out. I wasn't quite sure what to do with the end, and I think this 0G roll is taken a bit too quickly. But apart from that, very happy with this one. The game passes needed for this ride is first height expansion, disable collisions, and more operations. Some of my personal favorite elements on this ride are this wing over drop. I really like how it turned out, and then also this low to the ground barrel roll kind of. Next is this custom SLC. The game passes used for this one is the first height expansion, disable collisions, and more operations. Overall, I'm not really sure with what I was going for this coaster. I wanted to use the SLC but make it kind of a bit like a B&M invert, but then it wasn't. So it's kind of a mix of the two. Overall though, I'm still happy with it. I still quite like it. So if anyone wants a B&M invert slash Vekoma SLC in their park, here you go. And this one is a bit different again, because I've gone for an old style rough wooden coaster inspired by some of the old rides at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Now the game passes this ride uses is disable collisions and more operations. Even though I made it rough on purpose, and you can see that right now, I really like this coaster. It's a bit unique, it's different. Also, if you want to run this ride with 2 trains, go to the advance and tick this to yes, because I made this brake run actually a block section, and then obviously there's the lift hill. So if you want to run 2 trains, you can. The train will probably get stuck at the lift hill, but I believe I've heard a strategy where you can like synchronize rides with rides in your money farm, so that way they don't immediately dispatch and get stuck at the top of the chain lift. But for this video, I'm just going to run it with 1 because it's inspired by the rides at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. When do they run 2? The next one is this family mine train coaster. I am quite happy with how this turned out. I like the lift hills lining up and just kind of the twisted layout. It is decently compact as well. I have tried to keep all these coasters compact, as you can hopefully see. Game passes used for this one is disable collisions and more operations. When I was making the layout, I also tried to make it so that the first half is more like turn focused, and then the second half has a lot of airtime hills, just to give it that bit more like variation. Overall, quite happy with this coaster. For the second to last coaster, I have made a Bermuda, I think that's right. Can't go a video without there being like a moment where I just can't pronounce a ride, is there? I've gone for a Lek coaster inspired ride. I'd say the only flaw with this ride is these 2 inversions are a bit rough, but I really like the first drop on this coaster. I don't know, I'm just happy with how it turned out. But yes, this coaster is a very winding in and out of itself ride. The game passes needed for this ride is the first height game pass, disable collisions, more operations, and more colours. And moving on to the last coaster is this multi-launch. Now there may be a tiny selection select few of you who do kind of recognize this coaster, and that's because eons ago in Not Me's last Rating Your Blueprint stream, I had a grey coaster which looked a bit like this, and that was featured on the stream. If I can find some pictures, I'll put it up right now. But basically, I didn't really like the ride when I looked at it the other day to work on this video, so I remade it. Overall, I prefer it a lot more to the original. I think it's just paced a lot better because, yeah, watching the old ride back, it was way too fast. This ride's still being fast-paced though, because that's what I want it to be. At least it's still reasonably fast-paced now. Anyway, the game passes needed for this ride is more colours, disable collisions, the first height game pass, and more operations. Some things about this ride that I like in particular is that stall and how it just kind of transitions into the turn. I think that's quite nice. And then I also like the small pops of airtime hills and also this very fast barrel roll. And that will about conclude this video. It is a bit on the shorter side, but I do have a bigger video planned for next week, so stay tuned. Subscribe if you enjoyed, and like I said at the start, 10 likes and I'll do a no game pass version. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.